What's up, agents, and welcome back to another Division video. I have spent a lot of time since the launch of this season unlocking everything just so I can kind of give everything a fair shot, and I've had a lot of requests in comments and over on X as well. Make sure you give me a follow there, basically saying what's the best, what's good, what's not good. So I thought I'd do a very quick review, kind of roundup of everything I've kind of come across, what I find is good, what I find is bad, and really what is situational. So don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe, and let's get straight into it. So basically, to get into the menu, you're going to go into this new menu up here at the top, and you're going to see the global modifier. All these might be empty because they often reset when you log out of the game. But the global modifier gives us 3 range zones with variable distances: short, medium, and long. And when you aim at a bad guy, you'll see the reticle come up as it always does, and you'll have the 3 different colors indicating which range that you are in. If you're in the short range, you get 1.2 damage, medium 1.35, and long range 1.5. So if you feel a little bit stronger, it's because of this. And to be honest, it doesn't necessarily feel too much stronger, but there is a little bit there. You would expect 1.5 to feel more stronger than what it actually does. But it says amplified. I'm not entirely sure, but I've not done the math. Maybe I'm just wrong. And it's, 2:30 in the morning. So, yeah. So let's just go straight into the hostile modifiers. So if you've not checked out my previous videos, I've started to do seasonal builds now. Basically to make you feel powerful, but also get around these the bad guy modifiers, because 2 of them are absolutely horrible. The first one being the one that we're looking at now, the snakes. Requital: shooting an enemy within medium range builds a stack of requital. For every stack, a portion of the damage you dealt is reflected back to you, and it's very easy to start killing yourself if you're not aware of the snakes and the symbols. But check out my previous builds for this. Also, if you can one-shot an enemy, you don't build a stack, you just kill it. So that they're kind of nice, and I've done a few videos on that previously. The other one that I think is the worst, and I don't think it's kind of settled in with people yet, everyone hates the snakes at the moment, but I think Master of None will end up being the most hated modifier, because when you're being shocked over and over and over again and you can't move, and then you are dead, and I can only imagine that on legendary or master difficulty, when that finally arrives, this will be horrendous. It's absolutely horrible. So my seasonal builds definitely build in on how to kind of dodge this and it not hurt at all. The other 2 are kind of meh. So this one here, enemies receive a mark corresponding to the specific range. Marked enemies receive 60% less damage. So just look at the color and go and shoot them in that range. It's pretty easy. And then every hit from an enemy steals 5% of your movement speed for 10 seconds. I've kind of killed these enemies and done it and not really felt any negative effects. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of, we must kill them too quick, I guess, for them ones. So, let's move into the actual passive and active modifiers. So, first of all, the active modifiers, the 2 that I like the most are All Out and Prime Time. But I guess Reversal will have some, usage. If you're running gun and things like that, I can think of, and stuff and things like that. Maybe even long range for if you want some of the short term buffs, but you sat back and sniping. They all have their own usage. My favorite will be Prime Time because I like playing at the medium range, but yours might be All Out because then you can choose what range you play at. All Out is really good with a Hunter's Fury SMG build, playing at nothing but close range. So these modifiers, they all have their uses, they're all good, but it really does depend on what build you're using into which one that you would spec into. And then after that, you've kind of got to step it up a little bit further. So for instance, you can see here at the moment, I'm running Prime Time, which basically makes every single modifier a medium range modifier if you've got it if you've got it selected. So it basically makes any of these a medium range modifier, meaning that this one that gives you 2.5%, 2.5x extra damage every time you hit a body shot, it means that I can do that in the medium range and get this buff. So that's when you've got to start, there's no is this good, is this not good scenario at this point, because it really does depend on if you're, what your build does and how you put it together for if it's actually going to be effective or not. do you want to bother, you know, triggering these on and off? Are you just going to run and gun and you just want to put the passive modifiers on and just take the damages from them because you really feel like, actually, I can't be fussed thinking about whether I need to be at certain ranges or not and things like that. So there's all that to think about, and, you know, there is no perfect scenario for all of that. So, for instance, the drawback one, the impatient one, and the liability one, these are all great, but you have to kind of build your build around them. For instance, impatient takes away 50% of your magazine size. So you might want to run True Patriot, you might want to run some Uzina or something like that that actually expands that magazine by, you know, size back to counteract it, so that you can basically take the extra rate of fire and reload time by 30%. That's a lot. So if you mix Uzina perhaps with strikers, you are looking at, you know, some crazy extra rate of fire, but yet you're also covered off that you're not going to have the world's tiniest mag. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, and maybe with the liability, you might want to not run glass cannon because you've already got a lot of incoming damage, and that's going to give you, you know, 15% more. So you've kind of got to think about it in that scenario and what build you're running. They're always going to differ if you're running long, short, or medium range. I really like Retribution. It means that we don't necessarily have to worry too much about putting crit chance in our builds. We can spec into just damage everywhere, you know, crit damage and things like that. And although it's not perfect, because there are going to be times where you're still building up stacks, it's pretty reliable and it's pretty good. So it means, you know, you can basically mess with your builds a little bit more and not have to worry too much about going the whole crit chance, crit damage route like we already, you know, we pretty much always do. I can imagine, you know, Quicken being really good, but having to think about a critical hit skill build is not something my brain's comprehended quite yet, but I can imagine that it is actually pretty good. I did use this in a harder level scenario, where you can effectively get your revive hive back very quickly because of this, so effectively giving yourself that extra life over and over again in a legendary. So it does have other uses as well. And, you know, pressure piston, just kind of if you need the stability or not, that's kind of okay. I think By the Teeth is very good also. For instances, like if you are using a modifier and you're going, you know, you can just hit bodies, so for short range and stuff and things like that, so you can use the active modifier to make this apply at medium range, and it's, you know, actually really good. You can just shoot bodies and get a lot of extra damage. It's also kind of gonna be good for determined, because you know, in fact, it wouldn't be good for determined because it would class as a headshot and it wouldn't count. So yeah, no PPUs there. But if you built a body shot sniper build, maybe, yeah, I'm not really sure of its other uses, but swapping it in to close or medium range is kind of good, and I think it kind of works very nice. Cull of the week, I've not really tried this out, but I mean, it's going to be a no-brainer to take this if you're playing at long range with a marksman rifle. Tapper's amazing with an assault rifle build. I don't think if that's what it's intended, but or with my Bullet King build, my OD build and things like that. I was hitting 4 million headshots with my OD Bullet King build at range. Pretty insane. And you can kind of just keep this one on no matter what, because it's not very often that enemies are at long range. And if you get, you know, terrible body shot damage at long range, it really doesn't matter, because then they run into medium range and you immediately kill them. Or you immediately kill them at long range because you just hit them with a 4 million headshot with an assault rifle. So yeah, really good, this one. I like it a lot. Persistence I like a lot because I like the short range movement speed, especially when playing with something like Hunter's Fury or something like that. The other two buffs are just really good general buffs, so that's kind of okay. I haven't tried this one out, Peak Engineering, but it would be a no-brainer if you're running like a skill damage build, because it has assault and sniper turrets on there, and the assault turret is awesome. So yeah, maybe with that one. And then if you need some more Hasbro, I've been building Hasbro just kind of into my builds, but I could obviously drop, you know, 10% maybe, and run this one instead, because I think it's 92% that you need for max Hasbro to not be affected by anything. So with this, you could effectively build it to 80%, so taking some extra damage into the build, and then taking this as well if you didn't need the slot for any other modifier. So essentially, they're all very good. There isn't many that I wouldn't use, but it is also very build, you know, scenario orientated. And I don't think there's any way I can kind of cover all of that. But just kind of figure out what build you're going to run. You know, if you can take something like Retribution and not have to worry about crit chance and stuff and things like that. But obviously do be aware that these builds are only going to be for this season. So, you know, it depends on really on how much investment you want to do with that. Or do you just want to, you know, run with the builds that you run outside of the season, you know, and save those materials. So definitely interested to see what you think in the comments down below. Are you doing seasonal builds knowing that actually they might be useless at the end of the season? Or are you just kind of sticking to, actually, I'm just going to stick to the normal rules and not worry too much about seasonal. That's going to be it for this video. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the new one. Bye-bye.